You know that feeling? When a simple decision, like buying a new coffee maker, suddenly feels like a military operation. You're not just comparing prices. You're reading obscure reviews from 5 years ago, calculating the cost per cup over its projected lifespan, and wondering about the ethical sourcing of the aluminum in the filter basket. For a lot of people with very high IQs, that's not a rare event. That's Tuesday. And the thing is, it's exhausting. Picture this: a mind that never really switches off. It's constantly connecting dots, running simulations, asking what if. That's a superpower for solving complex problems. But for managing money day to day, it can feel like a curse. What looks from the outside like simple caution or even indecision is actually a system running at full capacity. The brain is processing every variable, every potential outcome, every tiny risk. The result isn't smarter spending, it's mental fatigue. It's staring at a shopping cart for 20 minutes, feeling the weight of a choice that, to anyone else, seems small. So, the first strange habit is this: analysis paralysis as a lifestyle. It's not about being cheap or unable to decide. It's about a mind that sees 10 possible futures for every dollar spent. If I buy this now, what opportunity am I losing later? What if a better model comes out next month? What's the environmental impact? Is this the most logically optimal choice? The questions don't stop. And while the brain is busy chasing the perfect risk-free decision, life moves on. Bills get paid late because you're overanalyzing the payment method. Investments don't get made because you can't settle on the perfect portfolio. It's messy. I mean, think about it. Society tells us smart people make smart money moves. But what if the very tool you rely on, your deep, analytical mind, is the thing that makes simple moves feel impossible? It's a quiet daily friction that most people don't see. The person looks calm, but inside, it's a constant committee meeting with no adjournment. If you've ever felt this mental gridlock over something as simple as a subscription plan or an insurance policy, you're not alone. Actually, drop a comment below with one small purchase that recently turned into a whole research project for you. Sometimes just naming it takes the weight away. And if you're finding this perspective useful, consider sticking around. This channel is all about unpacking these hidden psychological patterns. No fluff, just the real, often tiring human stuff. The goal here isn't to stop thinking. That's not possible. It's to recognize the pattern. To see that the quest for the perfect financial decision can be the enemy of a peaceful financial life. The wallet of an overthinker isn't necessarily empty or full. It's just heavy. Heavy with the weight of unmade choices, of paths not taken, of constant silent calculation. And that's a strange habit to carry around every single day. So you've navigated the mental maze and actually made a purchase. For most people, that's the end of it. But for the hyper-analytical mind, a new loop often starts. It's the relentless pursuit of optimization. The second strange habit is this: treating personal finance like a physics problem. Money becomes less about emotion or value and more about inputs, outputs, and systems. It feels like there must be a perfect, elegant equation for everything, a mathematically optimal way to live. This goes beyond normal frugality. It's about minimizing waste in a way that can seem cold or even bizarre to outsiders. Picture this. Someone spends 3 hours coding a custom spreadsheet to track grocery spending, not to save money, but to shave 0.2% off their monthly food budget. They get a deep, almost aesthetic satisfaction from the efficiency itself. The system is clean. The data is pure. The real-world result, saving a few dollars, is almost secondary. The win is in the perfect logic of it all. And here's the catch. This obsession can create a weird detachment from the actual purpose of money. Money is a tool for living, but when you're obsessed with the tool's efficiency, you can forget what you were building with it. Enjoyment becomes an irrational variable. A simple pleasure, like buying a slightly more expensive coffee because you like the taste, gets flagged by the internal system as suboptimal. The brain sends an alert. Inefficiency detected. You hear the internal monologue. Why pay for ambiance when I can brew at home for 1/8 the cost? Why buy a new book when the library is free? Why take a taxi when the bus route with one transfer only adds 17 minutes? It's all perfectly logical, and it can feel incredibly rigid, even lonely. I mean, let's be honest. This isn't about being broke. It's about a mind that finds chaos uncomfortable and sees inefficiency as a kind of intellectual insult. The world is messy and irrational. An efficiency obsession is a way to build a small, controllable, rational model within that chaos. The budget, the spreadsheet, the optimized routine, it's a sanctuary. But the cost is a sense of spontaneity, of allowing yourself to spend on something illogical just because it feels good. The relationship with money becomes clinical. It's managed, but it's not really lived with. The joy of a treat, the warmth of an impulsive gift, the value of time saved over money saved, these things get lost in the calculation. The person becomes a brilliant engineer of their own finances. But sometimes, they forget to leave the control room and actually enjoy the ship. This one really throws people. In a world where so much spending is about signaling what your car, your clothes, your neighborhood says about you, the highly intelligent mind often has a kind of blind spot. The third strange habit, a profound indifference to conspicuous consumption. It's not that they don't see the social game. They see it with crystal clarity. They understand the rules, the signals, the unspoken language of logos and luxury brands. And that's precisely why they often opt out. To them, it looks obvious, illogical, maybe even a little silly. Wait, you might think, isn't that a good thing? And financially, sure, it can be. Not chasing the latest status symbol saves a ton of money. But the psychology behind it is more complex than simple frugality. It's a deep-seated aversion to participating in a system they perceive as irrational. Buying a fancy watch to impress others feels like solving a problem that doesn't need to exist. Their internal logic asks, why pay a 4,000% markup for a label when this $20 watch tells the same time? The social reward of looking successful doesn't compute as a valid return on investment. So they wear the same functional shoes for years. They drive a car that's purely utilitarian. Their phone is 3 generations old. From the outside, it might look like they don't care about themselves or that they're secretly struggling. But that's usually not it. Inside, it feels like a choice. A quiet rebellion against a consumer script they never agreed to follow. Here's the thing, though. This blind spot can have its own costs. It can create social friction. Not participating in the game can be misinterpreted as judgment, aloofness, or lack of ambition. A colleague might feel slighted when they show up in a simple coat to a high-end event. A date might misunderstand their practical car as a lack of effort. Their financial choice, which feels purely rational to them, sends an unintended social signal. Plus, and this is the subtle part, it can sometimes mask an emotional disconnect. By framing all status-driven spending as irrational, they might avoid exploring their own desires. Do they actually like beautiful design? Do they enjoy the feeling of fine materials? The rational mind can bulldoze those softer, subjective questions. It's safer to call it all stupid than to admit you might want something for a non-logical reason. So their financial life is free from keeping up with the Joneses, but it might also be isolated from a common social language. They've built a fortress of logic, but they're sometimes puzzled by the loneliness inside it. They saved money by ignoring status, but they might have paid in a different currency. A slight, persistent sense of being out of sync with the world's rhythms. For a mind that's always running scenarios, the future isn't a vague possibility. It's a branching tree of potential events, each with probabilities and consequences. And this leads to the fourth strange habit: hyper-anticipation of financial disaster. It's not just saving for a rainy day. It's building an ark because a 1-in-a-million flood scenario could theoretically happen. This is the voice that whispers during every period of stability. Yes, but what if it all falls apart? And because the mind is so good at constructing detailed scenarios, the what if isn't a blurry fear. It's a vivid, step-by-step movie. What if the industry collapses? What if a prolonged illness hits? What if there's a radical geopolitical shift that devalues assets? The catastrophe calculator doesn't just identify risks, It animates them in full color. So, financial security stops being about comfort. It becomes about achieving a state of absolute, unassailable safety. A number in the bank account that can withstand any conceivable shock. The problem is, that number doesn't really exist. There's always another scenario, another layer of risk. The goalpost for safe keeps moving. You see this in extreme risk aversion. They might hold too much cash, missing out on investment growth because the volatility of the market feels like an unacceptable threat. Or they overinsure against every possible niche liability. The premium feels like a small price to pay to quiet the mental simulation of disaster, even for a month. And the thing is, this isn't greed. It's the opposite. It's fear. A deep, rationalized fear born from seeing too many connections in a chaotic world. They've calculated how fragile systems can be, and they're determined to be the exception. Their financial life becomes a bunker, meticulously stocked for every contingency. But living in a bunker is heavy. There's a constant low-grade anxiety that masquerades as preparedness. The joy of a surplus is muted by the next potential crisis on the horizon. A friend might say, "You've saved so much you should relax a little." And that just doesn't compute. To them, relaxing is what you do after you've solved for every variable. And they never will. So they're financially robust, maybe even wealthy on paper, but the psychological experience is one of siege. They've traded potential opportunity for perceived control. The catastrophe calculator is a brilliant tool for survival, but it's a terrible guide for living a life that feels open, or light, or free. The money is safe, but the mind that guards it is perpetually on watch, tired from running simulations of downfall that haven't happened, and probably never will. There's a common piece of advice: delay gratification. Save now, enjoy later. For the highly analytical mind, this isn't just advice, it's an operating system, and it mutates into the fifth strange habit: perpetual financial deferral. The belief that real life, the good life, starts only after a specific, often moving financial milestone is reached. It sounds responsible. I'll travel after I hit my next savings goal. I'll buy a nicer place after the promotion. I'll pursue my passion project once the investments are generating enough passive income. The future is a project to be engineered, and the present is just the construction site. You endure the noise and the dust now, for the perfect home later. But here's the catch: the milestone is often a mirage, because the same mind that sets the goal is also brilliant at redefining it. Once you save 100,000, the logic expands. Well, with compound interest, if I just push to 150, then I'll really be secure. The finish line keeps moving. The enough number is always just out of reach, recalculated with new, more conservative assumptions. So life gets segmented into now and after. And now becomes a period of austerity, not by necessity, but by design. Small joys are vetoed. A weekend trip? That could be money compounding for another 20 years. A more comfortable chair for your home office? An unnecessary luxury until phase 2 begins. You live in a permanent state of almost there. And the thing is, this creates a weird emotional flatline. You're not poor, but you're not allowing yourself to feel the benefits of your discipline either. It's like running a marathon but refusing to drink water until after you've crossed the line. The body is moving, but it's dehydrated and exhausted. I mean, let's be honest. This habit is often a defense mechanism. It's easier to deal with a sparse present if you believe a rich future is guaranteed. It turns anxiety about the present into a project for the future. The problem is, years can slip by in this mode. The deferred life becomes just life. You wake up one day and realize you've become a brilliant planner of a life you're not actually living. You've optimized the map but forgotten to take the trip. The money is growing in an account, but the experiences, the small daily pleasures that money could facilitate, are perpetually on hold. It's a strange paradox, using immense intelligence to build a secure future while quietly sacrificing the present moments that future is supposed to be made of. The safety net is woven strong, but you've forgotten how to walk the tightrope of spontaneous living. This final habit ties all the others together. It's the emotional core. After a lifetime of overanalysis, optimization, risk aversion, and deferral, money can lose its connection to anything warm or human. The sixth strange habit is an inability to spend on pure, illogical enjoyment. For this mind, spending must always be justified. It needs a reason, a return, a logical why. A purchase is either an investment, a necessity, or a calculated efficiency. The concept of spending money just to feel good, not to solve a problem, not to optimize a system, just to experience a moment of joy, feels like a system error. It's an irrational leak in a carefully designed machine. Picture someone who will spend hours researching the most cost-effective vacuum cleaner, but freezes at the idea of buying a bunch of fresh flowers for the kitchen table. The vacuum has a clear utility. The flowers? They just die. The logic is impeccable, and it completely misses the point. This is where the distance becomes palpable. Money becomes a score in a game of logic, not a tool for crafting a life. The internal critic is always on, auditing every potential for joy. You could make coffee at home. That concert is expensive for just a few hours. You don't need a new book. The voice isn't mean, it's just ruthlessly rational. And it can drain the color out of life, one logical veto at a time. Believe it or not, this can be one of the loneliest parts. They see other people deriving simple pleasure from things, a nice meal, a spontaneous gift, a frivolous decoration, and it can feel like watching people speak a foreign language. They understand the words, but not the music. There's a quiet envy mixed with confusion. How do they just do that? How do they turn off the calculator? And the thing is, this aversion isn't about the money. It's about permission. The hyper-rational mind struggles to give itself permission to be irrational, to be human, to be inefficient in the pursuit of happiness. The fear is that if you open that door even a crack, the whole logical structure will collapse. So the door stays shut. So, what does this mean? It means high intelligence can build a formidable financial fortress. But the walls of that fortress can also keep out lightness, spontaneity, and the simple, illogical warmth that makes managing money worth it in the first place. The goal isn't to become illogical. It's to recognize that not every life decision needs to be a math problem. Sometimes the most intelligent thing you can do is to put the calculator away, feel the sun on your face, and buy the stupid ice cream. If these patterns resonate with you, even a little, you're not just learning about money. You're learning about the weight a certain kind of mind can carry. For more explorations into the quiet human side of psychology, consider subscribing. A new perspective is just a notification away, and hitting that bell helps us keep exploring these real, messy, and deeply human topics together. Thanks for listening.